Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Chase, episode 19. I'm your host, Chase. If you're a returning listener, thank you very much for joining me for another lovely episode. If you're a new listener, thank you very much for clicking on this very episode, sitting down, and listening to my nonsense. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button, depending on which platform you use to consume the show. The show is available on both Spotify and YouTube. And make sure you click on the notification prompts on both platforms to be notified every time I upload a new episode. Oh, wait. You're telling me you already did that? So there is no need to remind you. Well, that was awkward. But thank you for being one step ahead of the game and one step ahead of me. And with that, let's get right into the show. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays. Now, I was going to give you my best Mariah Carey impersonation right there, but A, I know my voice isn't that well, and B, I really know you guys don't want to hear that. But as I'm joining you right now, the Buffalo Bills have secured their first AFC East title in 25 years. Now, I wasn't alive the last time the Bills won their last AFC title. And, it feels good to say it right now, but witness history. At 24, the Bills have secured their first AFC East title in 25 years. Suck that, Patriots fans. But I just had to get that off my chest. Now, we're on the heels of two special events that have just occurred. First, I want to talk about my college graduation. Now, I didn't really register to me, but I noticed it in my Instagram stories that this happened 4 years ago, and it still really hasn't clicked or registered to me, but I went to a very small college in Western New York. They're well known for their nursing program, but the funny thing is, I didn't graduate with a nursing degree. This was pre-COVID era, obviously, so, family and loved ones were able to go. Because the school is so small, we didn't have a theater fit for a graduation. We had to move to a local university nearby that would host the graduation. I almost didn't go to my graduation because I hate traveling when it's snowing and you can't see past, the first five feet of your car. But all during the day, it was just snowing so much and so fast that I did not want to travel. But maybe 2 hours before the ceremony started, it had stopped snowing. And that's always my luck. It's I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to something, and I'm 50-50 on it. I'm oh, do I go to this? Do I not? But, obviously I had to go because I'm graduating college. Come on now, this is almost a once in a lifetime thing. But, I'm really glad I did go, because this is one of my greatest accomplishments I've ever had. But as I mentioned before, I didn't graduate with a nursing degree. I graduated with a degree in hospitality management. For a moment, just let that sink in. A degree in hospitality management from a well-known nursing school. Now, because the program was so small, there was only 2 of us graduating. Now, I've never been more proud of myself walking across the stage, but, I wasn't really able to really let that sink in the moment, but I really fondly remember my high school graduation, because at the time, this was 2 years prior. Now, I wasn't really the most outgoing person in high school. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm talking to my one friend that was sitting next to me. I'm saying, we should do something when we're on stage. We should, at the time, Tim Tebow was a popular figure in the sports world and, in the religious world. And he was well known for Tebowing, which is essentially getting on one knee and praying before a football game starts, or just praying in general. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And so the time was slowly passing. I remember sitting in the auditorium for my high school graduation, and I remember slowly sinking into my seat I was sitting in. I'm just remembering like, oh my God, this is dragging on and taking forever. I remember I was falling asleep during my high school graduation, because you know how sometimes you have people like talking before graduations. I know there's a name for the keynote speaker. Yes, that's what it is. And the keynote speaker, now bless this person, I don't know who the person is, but it just seemed like they were very monotonous, taking forever. And I'm just like, get on with the story and like just let us enjoy this moment and get it over with. And so, I'm sitting there slowly falling asleep, batting my eyes, trying to stay awake. And, before I know it, time did pass, and it was time to get up, line up, and get ready to walk across the stage. So I'm really debating on whether or not I do this. I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, it's game time. Like, let's do this. And, I gave my name on the card to the speaker. The guy said my name correctly. So I'm like, yes, there's a win right there. Because my name is very simple, but trust me when I say this, people butcher the shit out of it. And it's literally 2 syllables, and I still don't understand. But anyways, I'm just like, okay, yes, there's a win right there. Let's get it. It's gonna be a good day, good rest of the day. And so I get on stage, people are clapping, cheering. I get down on one knee and I start Tebowing. And when I tell you, I very fondly remember this, the place erupted with laughter. I'm just like, holy crap. Like, I didn't expect that. I mean, I probably expected a few people to, cheer or laugh, but like, all I heard was like this encompassing laughter. I'm just like, that right there is a moment I'll remember in time forever. Because, during the 4 years of high school, I was a miserable fuck. Like, I was so depressed, down from my depression and anxiety. I'm just like, I need to do something that's memorable. And so doing that was so fun and out of character and out of the ordinary for myself. I'm just like, awesome. Like, that's something I'll remember forever. And as I was saying previously, before we got into that story, I was getting ready to walk up on stage for my college graduation. And, with the college graduation, it's very serious. It's really like, okay, here's your degree, there you go, walk across the stage, as like a running through the finish line type of thing. Like, okay, here you go, this is what you get, and you're done forever. And so, walking across the stage like I'm a big shot. I'm like, yeah, puffing my chest out. I'm like, yeah, I did it. 2 years, I got my associate's degree. And I could just hear, people, my family cheering. And it created such a warm, like, feeling in my chest. I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm really proud of myself for doing this and just setting my mind to something and finishing it out, seeing it through, and just, doing something. And, that felt great. And because there was only 2 of us graduating from the program, it was very fast, and I wasn't really able to take it all in, but I still remember some aspects to it. But it's still really such a blur because it happened so quick, and it didn't really register, but I remember some moments from it, some moments I don't. And at the end, like oh, here you go, they gave us a little like swag bag with goodies. They called it a swag bag. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, it had sunglasses, I think a pen, and a couple other like gadgets and little things, little trinkets. But because of my depression, I was never really able to appreciate the moment. But over time, it finally became something I came to grips with. I was able to realize my accomplishment, and I was finally able to realize, and it registered in my head, like, I can do anything I set my mind to. Because even with the podcast, this has been something always in the back of my mind, thinking about this for almost 6 years since my high school graduation. Like, I want to be able to, well, even before podcasting was this big industry, like, everybody was having a podcast, everybody was doing it, but in the back of my mind, I had some idea, like, I wanted to get my emotions out, get my feelings out, talk to people, help people, and just broadcast it on this platform that can reach millions of people. And it felt so incredible to finally start off, graduate college, and then, getting to podcasting. And, it feels so amazing to finally do it. But enough about me. Like I said, we were on the heels of 2 special events. The first was my college graduation, like I said, 4 years ago. And, I want to put this out there. My girlfriend just graduated from college. Now, there are moments in life when I'm truly speechless. This is definitely one of them. Because after 5 years, my girlfriend has finally finished her schooling career. Now, I usually talk about myself on here, and I wanted to put this little thing out there just as a very special, like, regard, like, just being thankful and acknowledging her accomplishments, because I've seen this woman put in her blood, sweat, and tears, but literally everything besides the blood. Just putting that out there. And like, no words will ever amount to the feeling of admiration I have for her, because I watched this whole process happen from start to finish. Like, all the sleepless nights, the nights filled with crying because of all the overwhelming schoolwork, and finally being able to realize it was all worth it. And in the end, all I can really say is I'm so incredibly proud of her, because she is so strong, beautiful, independent, and she is one smart cookie. And, like me, she suffers from self-doubt. And so, in the end, like I said with myself, I was never really able to come to grips with acknowledging the fact that I set my mind to going to school, seeing it through, and finishing what I started. Now, my journey was only 2 years, so it was plain simple, cut and dry. Like, you're going to go to school for these semesters, do your work, and leave after 2 years. So I was never really a college person, school person in general. I hated schoolwork, hated tests, hated homework, hated studying, never did any of that stuff. But somehow, some way, I seen it through, I finished it. And like I said, in the end, like myself, she was able to realize she can accomplish anything she sets her mind to. And I am still so incredibly proud, happy, and just, like, the amount of gratitude I have for this woman is overwhelming. Because this just happened a couple days ago. But because of COVID, like I said in my little story I just told, she, I believe, can't have a graduation like many other people across the world this year. Graduating is supposed to be a very special, monumental moment that you're able to take in, enjoy, look at all your surroundings, take it in, take in the faces, the smells, the everything in general. But like, it's heartbreaking at the same time, because you want to enjoy it and enjoy it for them, but it's almost gives you a sense of like, was it all worth it? Did I really earn this? Now, some people may just not care about the walking across the stage, going to your ceremony, but you just gotta sometimes take it in, realize your accomplishments, and just make some moments about you sometimes. Because most of the times, with some people, it's about helping others, setting your things to the side. Now, I know that may come off very harsh, but sometimes you just gotta sit down, focus on yourself, realize your accomplishments, and just be grateful for all the steps you have taken, and just be grateful for the moments that were made, the schoolwork that was done, and just take everything in and realize you did it, you graduated, you did it. Now, I just believe the overall message I'm trying to convey is really, don't be so harsh on yourself. You need to realize at the end of the day how fucking strong you are to start and finish something. How about giving yourself a little more credit at the end of the day? Because at the end of the day, you need to realize you are one strong person. You are one strong human being, no matter what anybody says. Because at the end of the day, you are you. You have to be confident in yourself, because you only get one shot, one crack at this thing we call life. And realizing every small step and accomplishment will help you at the end of the day, becoming you, becoming the person you always want to be. And with that, like, this will push you to everything and every possibility you've ever seen or that can be imaginable. But like I said, how about giving yourself a little more credit at the end of the day? Now, I know this is what you all came for. This is why you clicked on the title of this episode. This is why you're sitting down, listening, or watching. We're talking about the greatest Christmas debate. We're talking about the greatest Christmas movies of all time. All time to me, of course. But the greatest Christmas movies of all time. But before we get into this, the reason I wanted to put out this episode in Christmas is because I am an advocate for people not being alone on holidays. That's the one thing I truly hate, is that people are alone on holidays that are meant to be special, meant to be spent with loved ones, with family, with friends, with co-workers. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. But I hate when people are alone on holidays. That's my one biggest pet peeve, or one of my biggest pet peeves. I have a lot of them, trust me. But I just hate when people are alone in their thoughts and just left alone to think. But because of COVID, during this time, it is very prominent that we stay inside still, stay in isolation, don't travel, don't gather with 10 or more people. But I wanted to put this out there so people have something to listen to not spend it alone. We can sit down, have a few laughs, cry a little, maybe. But I just want to put this out there so people aren't alone. We can enjoy this together, have a little fun, make some memories, talk a little bit, get some stress out, and just have fun in general, because that's what Christmas is all about. Having fun, spending it with family, making some memories, talking about old memories, talking about Christmases of the past, having a little too much eggnog, enjoying some Christmas cookies, just an overall encompassing, jolly, good feeling. And hopefully, Santa brought you exactly what you wanted, and you're not on the naughty list and got some coal. But, with my greatest Christmas movies of all time list, I know damn well Santa is definitely paying attention, and I did not get some coal for this. But these are my top 5 Christmas movies in order. Coming in at number 5. Now, before I sat down and recorded this, I put these in my notes because I didn't want to forget this. And at the moment before I recorded, I had to make an adjustment because I had to sit down and think about it. And coming in at number 5 is The Polar Express. To me, that movie is so encompassing of the story of Christmas. Believing, creating memories, believing in Santa, just the whole story of childhood, believing in Santa, sometimes not believing, but getting back to that overall feeling of, that feeling of, the excitement and just general feeling of warmth during the Christmas season, and always keeping that inner childhood spirit inside of you. Coming in at number 4, Home Alone 1 and 2. We can discount Home Alone 3 through 5 because no one, and I repeat, no one likes those movies. They should have never made them. But Home Alone, I feel, is 2 of the most quotable, fun, and overall joyous Christmas movies that are out there. Now, I know some people may not enjoy them, but if you are a Christmas movie fan, you know Home Alone is at the top of everyone's list because you can sit down at the start of that movie and make it through the whole movie quoting the entire thing. That movie is filled with so many iconic movie moments and iconic Christmas moments. So if you haven't already, put on Home Alone. That's, of course, finishing this episode first. But put it on. Sit back. Not any distractions. And tell me, did you not make it through the whole movie A, laughing, B, quoting, and C, just smiling throughout the whole thing? Now, if you have cable TV and you have the Freeform channel, I can guarantee you it'll be playing non-stop through and throughout Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like a certain movie that is included in my list. But like I said, watch Home Alone and tell me, please tell me if I'm wrong. Coming in at number 3. We're hitting the top 3, people. Really focus right here, okay? Number 3. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation, to me, is, like I said with Home Alone, one of, or if not the top, most quotable Christmas movies of all time, folks. Chevy Chase, I think, scores his most iconic role in Clark Griswold in this movie. This movie, from start to finish, will deliver non-stop laughs. Like, my family loves Christmas Vacation. And one time, when my family was gathering together for our weekly dinner we have, just to gather, just because over time, sometimes we lose connection and whatnot, but my grandparents always want us to get together, just sit down together during the week, make some memories, talk a little bit, have some dinner. But like in the movie, they're sitting down at the table, the entire family. But I believe this is before they cut open the turkey and it, but the grandfather says to the grandmother, he's like, "Say the blessing, the blessing." I believe I'm getting the parts correctly, but I may be wrong, and please forgive me. But the grandmother stands up out of her chair. No, that's Uncle Eddie that does that. But the grandmother bows her head and starts saying, I believe it's the Pledge of Allegiance. She's like, "I pledge allegiance to the flag." And when I tell you that my grandma pulled this stunt and faked us all out, we all burst into laughter because none of us expected it. And my grandma is a very straightforward Polish, your typical Polish or just typical grandma in general. That's very, taking care of everybody, trying to not to laugh about the bad jokes and the sometimes raunchy jokes, but sometimes she cracks up and sometimes she pulls pranks on us just like that to have a little fun. And we all erupted with laughter. And when I tell you, that moment is one of the most iconic moments in movie history, you have to believe me on this one. Because even at the end of the movie, when I believe it's the sewer system, like there's an explosion, and I forget the ending of the movie, but I believe that's correct. And there's just like, I don't know, fireworks, or just like lights and whatnot. And the grandma starts saying it again. Now, please forgive me, I may be wrong. It hasn't really been on TV that much this Christmas season, so my mind isn't refreshed. But I believe it's on like every streaming platform there is. I believe it's on Netflix, maybe Hulu, I'm not positive, but if you have cable TV, I believe it runs on the AMC channel. But I will make sure to sit down and watch it afterwards, so I remember my correct brain juices, my brain juices can remember correctly. But coming in at number 2, Will Ferrell's most iconic role, Elf, the movie Elf. Now, when I tell you, this movie cracks me up, and I can quote this movie almost line for line, I am dead serious. Now, there was a moment in time where, when I was younger, we didn't have cable for a little bit, so I would watch the same movies on repeat. The same movies that would make me would make me happier and help me just not think about the ills of the day and the bad moments, but I would always put on certain movies to help me relax and unwind. This was one of the top movies I always had on repeat, so I always know exact moments, exact quotes, exact lines. That, along with Grown Ups, were the 2 movies I had on repeat all the time. But Will Ferrell in Elf is, like I said with Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation, this is, I believe, Will Ferrell's most iconic role. He plays such a great character. He literally, his comedic timing is impeccable. He creates such a great Christmas spirit, Christmas feeling, and just delivers on all aspects of the movie. And the one quote of the movie I always have on repeat, I always say it without it even registering in my mind, when he is about to leave to go to New York City and he talks with Santa. Santa gives him the New York snow globe with the New York skyline on it. He's like, "This is where your father lives, in New York City." And he talks about, "Oh, if you see a sign that says Peep Show, it does not mean they're showing you Christmas presents, I believe." I believe that's the correct line. He's like, "If it says Peep Show, it doesn't mean they're letting you see Christmas presents early." And, he's walking out of the little house. I think he's about to jump on the piece of ice, and Mr. Norwal comes out of the water, and he says, "Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad." And I say that all the time without even thinking about it. But when I tell you this, me and my mom would always say that to each other. But I did end up finding my dad, but that guy's a piece of shit. So I try to refrain from saying the last word in that statement and quote. But anyways, I'm sorry for getting a little dark there. But like I said, Number 2 is Will Ferrell's greatest act he's ever put on, and that's Buddy the Elf. Drum roll, please. Coming in at number 1, A Christmas Story. Ooh, A Christmas Story is one of my favorite movies of all time, not counting, the Christmas time, not counting category, not counting genre. I will forever have that movie in my top 5 because I always remember going to my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve as a child and waiting because they had cable TV. So every single year on the same channel, I believe it's always on TBS, every single time. This has been going on since I was a child. Every single time on Christmas Eve, the moment it hits, I believe, 7 or 8 o'clock, Christmas Story starts and is on repeat for the entire day, entire Christmas Eve, entire Christmas Day. No other movie plays, no other show is on, just Christmas Story all day. And that movie for me is encompasses my childhood Christmas spirit. Because if you did not grow up watching that movie and wanting a Red Ryder BB gun, there's something wrong with you. No, joking, of course, but every child, I believe, wanted a Red Ryder BB gun watching that movie. Now, the setting of the movie is very, I believe, 1950s-esque, 1960s. I may be wrong, but it's a very, joyous movie, very funny, and, it's just a great Christmas movie. That is legit. The story of everybody's Christmas is, setting your mind on something you want for Christmas, sitting down, being very, very patient with it, thinking about it, and knowing maybe your parents won't let you get this thing for Christmas. And so you're like, yeah, I'm going to ask Santa. I'm going to go to the mall or go wherever I go to see Santa and ask this man, and ask this man to help me get this present for Christmas. And when I tell you, that movie for me is, like I said, with my top 5, the most quotable, the most enjoyable, and one of the greatest movies of all time, I will forever stand by that statement. Because, this movie for many other people is, I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but like I said, everybody's Christmas story, no pun intended. But I had some honorable mentions I'd like to share with you guys. Coming in at number 5, Frosty the Snowman. Yes, I know that's a very iconic movie and probably one of the most greatest Christmas movies of all time, but it just didn't crack the top 5 for me. Coming in at number 4 on the honorable mentions, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yes, I know, back-to-back Christmas animation movies. those are the two top movies we're always given to when we're kids, because they're very family friendly, kid friendly, and just joyous movies. Okay, coming in at number 3. Okay, we're hitting the top 3, people, for honorable mentions. Coming in at number 3 is A Christmas Carol, the 2009 rendition with Jim Carrey. Now, I know for many people, now I may be just speaking for myself, but some people I've talked to think this movie or rendition of A Christmas Carol is scary, because this is a very dark animation of A Christmas Carol. But I believe Jim Carrey delivers on all cylinders, and I very fondly remembering watching this movie when it came out in theaters, and sometimes being scared watching it because of, the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. Because like I said, it's a very dark rendition, but it still delivers on all cylinders. It still encompasses the story of A Christmas Carol. It doesn't lose track, doesn't get off track of the original story. It just, I believe, delivers on every single aspect of the original story. But anyways, coming in at number 2 for the honorable mentions is The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Now that movie, and I believe, I may be getting this wrong, I believe there's 2 or 3 other Santa Claus movies, and Tim Allen is in every single one of them. And I believe it kind of loses track from the original story in the second one, and then starts losing track again in the third, and I believe the fourth one, and please forgive me, I can't remember right now at the moment if there is 3 or 4, and I will look that up right now because I don't want to be wrong. But I believe there's only 3. But still, every single movie is incredible. And now there were some talks, I believe, of Santa Claus 4 happening, but it was never announced. There was probably some just hoopla going on about it. But Tim Allen delivers. And, I believe the story is around, I don't know if it's Tim Allen not believing in Santa. He hears some commotion on his roof going on, and it just so happens to be Santa. And he comes out of his house and he says, "Hey, you." And Santa gets distracted. He falls off the roof. And it turns out that in order to save Christmas, Tim Allen has to become Santa and make sure Christmas happens this year. Now, even though it is in my honorable mentions, and it did come in at number 2, there is still one more honorable mention we have to go to. And like I said before we really got started, I alluded to in my top 5 Christmas movies that before I sat down and started recording, I had to really think about something. I had to think about number 5. Now, in my top 5, coming in at number 5 was the Polar Express. Like I said, I had to sit down and really think about the story, what it means to me, and what movie fell out of 5th place and fell into 1st place for my honorable mentions. Now, some people may enjoy this movie, some people may not, but this, like I said with every other Christmas movie I've said in this list, is hands down one of the most memorable, quotable movies of the Christmas time. Coming in at number 1 for the honorable mentions is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, I'm not talking about the animated ones. I'm talking about the live-action Jim Carrey version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, there have been a few other renditions of the movie, but I believe that his role, his acting, and his skills in this movie, his comedic timing, delivers like him, Cindy Lou Who, and just they play the story exactly how it was delivered to us. It, encompasses the story of the Grinch. It doesn't lose track. It's literally the same story from the first animated movie, but the first animated movie came out in 1966, I believe. And the live action How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version, came out in 2000. Now, to me, yes, the Jim Carrey version is the best version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I believe it was 2 years ago, they came out with another version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I believe it was in 2018 it came out. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm sorry. I did put in a lot of time into this, but I didn't really write down all of the exact years the movies came out. But I believe, if I remember correctly, that the latest rendition of the How the Grinch Stole Christmas kind of skews away from the original story. It's a more I don't know how to call it. I don't know, the Grinch seems more happy is the best way to put it, I think, ? But yeah, like, it kind of loses track from the original stories. No spoilers, like, I'm really sorry if you haven't seen the movie. But yeah, I feel like it loses track from the original story that is being told. But, all Christmas movies are incredible to me during this time, because, we may be stuck in the house because of the snow. We're going to be with loved ones, hopefully. I know 2020 has been a bitch so far. And Christmas time is meant to be spent with loved ones, with family, and with friends. But during this time, we deserve a little escape from reality, because I know we've been trying to do this all year. It's a reoccurring story from January to now December. And that's crazy to think about, because it still feels like March. But, we just need to sit down, look back, watch, and just take in every single Christmas movie we can. Because these movies are just very joyous. We need to take in that Christmas spirit again and just be happy, be jolly, be thankful, and just be happy and take in all the good moments, all the bad moments, and just know, hopefully, just hopefully, that 2021 will be a better year, and we'll hopefully get to be able to see each other, to smile, not wear a mask, and just hug each other again, and just take everything in and be happy once again. Ooh, man, it feels good to be back once again in the Bills backer corner, ladies and gentlemen. Here we bring you projections, spoilers, and predictions on the Bills schedule. And after a month-long hiatus, we are finally back once again. And it feels so good to say that, because the Bills just came off of what was a prime time month. The month of November was a prime time schedule for the Bills, because coming off of wins against the 49ers, the Steelers, and the Broncos, the Buffalo Bills have finally secured their first AFC East title in 25 years. 25 years, ladies and gentlemen. The Bills have been an afterthought, but not anymore, because the Bills have destroyed projections, have destroyed analysts' thoughts, and now are in the limelight of every NFL talk show, the limelight of every NFL podcast. The Bills are now a mainstream team. The Bills are taking the moniker from the Dallas Cowboys. The Bills are now America's football team. This is a blue-collar football team that deserves everything they're receiving right now. Now, this week, the Bills are playing the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football at 8:20 p.m. This is in Foxborough, and the Bills, in my opinion, will shove the Patriots' face into the dirt this week. We are riding a tremendous wave of momentum coming off of a 4-game winning streak. The billboard that just went up in Foxborough proclaims the Buffalo Bills to be the best fan base in the world, or the best fan base in football. This billboard went up in Foxborough, I believe, last week, and this is going to reign true, because Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs have been steamrolling as a duo. And this year, they have to be in the top 3 of best quarterback and wide receiver duo. They have the ability to shock the NFL, which they have, after setting numerous Buffalo Bills records and even breaking through the glass ceilings on those records, setting career highs for both Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. My predictions for this week against the Patriots: the Bills are going to win with the score of 32-17. Now, I believe the Bills are going to come out strong on this in this game. But lately, the Bills defense has been stepping up. I do see a setback this week because I'd like to keep that mindset of, oh, the Bills defense is going to keep this up every single week. But sometimes it just isn't viable. So I'm predicting, like I said, the Bills are to come out strong. Josh Allen is going to connect with Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, hopefully John Brown, because he is supposed to be returning soon from injury. But like I've said, I do see the defense suffering a setback this week, giving up 2 touchdowns and a field goal. But the Bills will solidify the reason they became AFC East champions. Because if my memory serves me right, this is the first time the Patriots aren't AFC champions in 11 years, and it's the first time they haven't made the playoffs in I don't even know how long. I don't even remember the last time the Patriots weren't in the playoffs or weren't AFC East champions. But this feels good to say it again. The Bills are AFC East champions. And they have everything in place right now to make a run, hopefully through the first couple rounds of the playoffs. Play a playoff game at home, but without fans. I don't see Andrew Cuomo, New York's governor, opening up restrictions just for a playoff game in Buffalo. Because the New York Giants and the New York Jets aren't playoff teams and aren't even in New York. They're in New Jersey. And so the Buffalo Bills are New York's only football team. And the only good football team in New York. And so, like I've said, the Bills will win in Foxborough with a score of 32-17. Now, I could always be wrong. I could always, projections could always go out the door. The Bills, who knows? Fingers crossed this won't happen, but they might lose. I don't think that'll happen, but that's always a possibility. I can always end up on freezing cold takes. Like I said, I'm just a podcaster. I do projections for fun because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan and I'm a part of Bills Mafia. But I pray to God, nobody gets injured, knock on wood, so the Bills have enough skill, willpower, and defensive players to run the gauntlet this playoffs. And I pray to God. Oh, I pray to God. The Bills can make a run in this year's playoffs because it feels so good. And for those who've watched the Bills players come home and just watch the sea of people erupt as the Bills land and come out of that plane, this city has been running wild for the past couple weeks. Ever since Hail Murray against Arizona, the Bills have taken that play on the chin and won 4 straight football games. 4 straight primetime games. And I don't see this coming to an end. But for the Bills' sake, please don't get injured. Please. Josh Allen, you are our saving grace. Stephon Diggs, you are our saving grace this season. Keep up the great work, boys. Bills Mafia can do this season. And hopefully, just hopefully, the Buffalo Bills can make the Super Bowl. As always, with that, I want to say thank you for joining me for another week, another episode, and another vent session. The fact you made it this far with me is outstanding. I am really forever grateful. Here's to happy health, mental depression and anxiety awareness, and an overall feeling of self-empowerment. If you enjoyed what you listened to today, make sure you go back and listen to our catalog of episodes. Make sure you subscribe on both platforms, Spotify and YouTube. And hit the notification prompts so you're notified every time I upload a brand new podcast. I will talk to everyone next week. And remember to always remind yourself, you made it this far, you're doing the best you can, and things will get better. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.